The village of Umuoka was not a noisy place, but the day that Elder Nwadike died, everything changed. Elder Nwadike is the oldest man in the village, the most respected, the one everyone believed was closest to the ancestors of the land. The elders of the village met early. They agreed that his burial must be done properly, according to the tradition of the land, as it had been done for generations. Messages were sent across the village. Everyone was informed. This was not an ordinary burial. Women gathered to prepare the food, not for celebration, not for guests. This was a food prepared in silence, with care and with rules attached to it. The elders announced it clearly. They stood where everyone could see them and spoke slowly. This food is not for the living, the leading elder said. He explained that it was prepared for the spirits to receive Elder Nwadike among those who had gone before him. It was a sign of respect, a way of saying that the village had not forgotten its roots or the hands that built it. The warning was simple. No living mouth must eat from it. Everyone nodded, some with understanding, some with fear, some without asking questions. Because in Imoaka, when elders speaks like that, you must listen. And that was how the food was prepared. Carefully, quietly, and left waiting. This was not food meant to satisfy hunger. It was food meant to honor passage. The women who prepared it walked without talking. No laughter, no gossip, only the sound of firewood cracking and pots being stirred gently. Each ingredient was chosen carefully. Nothing was rushed, nothing was wasted. The aroma rose slowly in the air, thick, rich, and inviting. The kind of smell that makes an empty stomach to ache. The kind that stays in the nose long after you walk away. But nobody reached for the food to taste it. The pot was covered properly, set apart from the others, and kept in the room of the spirits. It was treated differently, despite the warning from the elders. One woman acted against the instructions of the elders. Her name was Mbeke. Since her husband died, life had become a quiet struggle, not the kind that draws attention, but the kind that wears you down slowly. She woke up every morning with plans that rarely worked out, and went to bed every night counting what she did not have. Her husband had been a farmer. When he died, the land went with him. What remained was a small house, 2 children, and memories that did not feed anyone. That evening, she returned home with nothing in her hands. Her kitchen was silent. No pot on the fire, no smell of food. Only an empty pot at the corner where ingredients used to be in the kitchen. Her children lay on the mat, already asleep. Their stomachs were empty, but their bodies were tired enough to surrender to sleep. She watched them for a while, listening to their breathing, wondering how long children could grow on hope alone. She sat down slowly and rested her back against the wall. Earlier that day, she heard the elders speak. She heard the warning like everyone else. She knew about the food that was not meant for the living. She knew it had been prepared with care and set aside for the spirits. She told herself it was none of her concern. Those things were for people with full stomachs, for people who could afford to obey rules without pain. That was what her thoughts whispered. Though she did not say them loud to herself, she lay down beside her children and closed her eyes. But sleep did not come. Her mind kept returning to the aroma from the food prepared earlier in silence for the spirit. She turned to the wall and shook her head slightly. It is not for me, she thought. Yet, hunger has a way of making thoughts sound reasonable. By the time the village grew quiet, Mbeke was still awake. Night settled over Umoka gently. The moon hung quietly above the rooftops, lighting the paths just enough for someone to see where they were going. From far away, the last sound of burial drums faded into nothing. Inside her house, Mbeke sat up. Her children slept close to each other, unaware of the thoughts pulling their mother away from the mat. She watched them for a moment, then stood up slowly, careful not to wake them. She wrapped her clothes tightly around her waist and stepped outside into the night. Each step she took felt louder than it was. When she reached the place where the food had been set aside, she did not touch it immediately. She stood there, breathing slowly, as if waiting for someone to speak her name. Her hands shook slightly. She remembered the elders' warning. She remembered the stories. She remembered the warning. For a moment, she almost turned back. Then, her stomach tightened again. She uncovered the pot and leaned forward. The smell rose quickly, stronger than she expected. Real food, warm food. She did not take much. She did not sit down. She ate standing, looking around after every mouthful. Her heart beat fast, but her hands did not stop. When she was done, she took some portion for her children and she covered the pot carefully, just the way she found it. No trace left behind. No sound was made. She walked back home without looking behind her. She lay down beside her children and closed her eyes. Nothing happened. No sound followed her. No dream came to warn her. The night passed carefully and quietly. Nothing happened that night. Morning came as it always did. People stepped out of their houses, greeted one another, and went about their usual routines. The sun rose without struggle. Nothing in the sky suggested that anything had gone wrong during the night. Mbeke woke up with her children beside her. Her body felt tired, but not different. She said nothing about the night before, not even to herself or to her children. As the day went on, small things began to feel out of place. That evening, as darkness returned, the dogs started to howl. At first, it sounded normal. Dogs had always barked at night in Umuoka, but this time, the howling did not stop. It stretched on, rising and falling, as though they were seeing something like spirits that only they could see. The second day, an outbreak of bees from nowhere started attacking the villagers. A man who went to the farm was attacked by bees and died on the farm. A woman returning from the river with a pot of water was also attacked and found dead by the roadside. By the third day, the village was already tired of the number of deaths it had recorded in 3 days through the attack of bees on certain people. They knew that someone must have altered the scale of the spiritual balance of the village. By morning, the elders had already gathered and sent a delegate to consult with the woman oracle. The delegates moved quietly and quickly. The oracle was consulted in the way it had always been done, with respect, with care, without rushing words or actions. The elders spoke plainly, describing the signs the village had seen, the number of deaths recorded in just 3 days by the attack of the bees. The oracle spoke and said the ancestors were angry because someone had eaten the food prepared for them. A sacred boundary had been crossed. When the elders returned, their faces told the story before their mouth opened. They gathered the village and spoke loudly, enough for everyone to hear. The ancestors have been insulted, the eldest said. What was not meant for the living was eaten. Murmurs spread through the crowd. People looked at one another. Some shook their heads. Some covered their mouth. The elders raised their hands for silence. Whoever did this must speak now, one of them said. The truth must come out. The village waited, and the village demanded answers. For a long moment, no one spoke. The crowd stood still, waiting for a voice to rise, for someone to step forward. The silence stretched, heavy and uncomfortable. People shifted their weights. Eyes moved from one face to another. Then Ugbeke stepped out. Her body was weak, but she stood on her own. Her face showed no surprise, no attempt to hide, only exhaustion and regret. I did it, she said with a trembling voice. She told them about the night, about the hunger that would not let her sleep, about her children lying beside her with empty stomachs, about how she stood there, knowing the rule, knowing the warning, and still went ahead. I was hungry, she said, and I was desperate. There was no food for us to eat. The elders listened without interrupting. When she finally stopped talking, the village broke into voices and chaos, and a lot of persons arguing amongst themselves. Some called for punishment. They spoke of tradition, of rules that held the village together. They warned that mercy could invite worse things against the village. Others spoke softly of compassion, of a woman who had already lost much, of children who would suffer if their mother were taken away for her consequences. The voices clashed, rising and falling. Then the oracle spoke again. The message was not gentle, but it was not cruel. Some wrongs, it said, can be repaired with proper restitution, with humility, with sacrifice. But some actions leave marks that do not disappear completely. Mbeke remained in the village, but she must pay the sacrifice to appease the elders and the spirits of the land. Some said that was not enough, that she must live at the edge of the village, away from others. But the elders decided that she must live within the people, carrying the shame for everyone to see. Therefore, Mgbeke lived in the village. She carried her shame quietly and accepted what was asked of her. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more amazing African stories like these.